How's it going, everybody? Welcome to We Do Tech. Now, usually air coolers are big and bulky and they don't really deliver always good performance, and they kind of ruin the aesthetics of your well-built system. That's why a lot of people would rather go for an AIO where it doesn't take up a lot of space and you will still be able to see all of your components inside your PC. But now this is where Cooler Master decided to come in and design the G100M, which is a low profile budget cooler that has the needed looks and also delivers good performance. So as you guys can see just behind me there, you can already see the cooler. It looks awesome, and we're gonna see how well it performs and then just go over some of the RGB components for the cooler in this video. So with all of that being said, let's get into the video right after this. Do you live in South Africa and want to get yourself some awesome new gaming products? Well, go check out RebelTech. They have extremely low prices and they stock all the major brands like ASUS, MSI, Gigabyte, Corsair, and many more. So go check out rebeltech.co.za to go get the products you're looking for at a low price. Starting off, we do not have a fixed price for the G100M at the moment because it's not really released yet, but it should cost anywhere between $40 to $60 and 400 to 600 Rand in South Africa, which puts it right in the middle of a budget air cooler. As for the design, Cooler Master designed the G100M to support CPUs up to 130 watts TDP. They wanted a low profile design to help take up as less space as possible, because as you guys know, CPU air coolers can get quite a bit bulky and sometimes ruin the aesthetics of your entire system. Now, most normal air coolers have 4 to sometimes even 14 heat pipes to help distribute the heat away from the CPU. But for the G100M, Cooler Master instead gave it one large copper heating column. This should potentially help distribute the heat away from the CPU much faster and then also help to reduce the size of the cooler. Along with the copper heat column, the G100M has a thin aluminium fins to help distribute the heat away from the CPU. As for the single fan, the G100M uses a 92mm transparent 9-blade fan that has a speed of 600 to 2400 RPM. The downwards facing blower not only cools the CPU but also some of the components around it. For connections, the G100M uses a 4-pin PWM connector and an RGB header. Or if your motherboard does not support RGB header, you can always use the included RGB controller that lets you choose between 6 different effects, which is static, stars, color cycle breathing, and mirage. You are also able to change the colors and brightness of these effects. But the G100M also works with ASUS Aura Sync, Gigabyte Fusion, MSI Mystic, and ASRock RGB. For these, you don't really need to have the controller, you can do everything through the software. And then also you can sync all of your components with the cooler to have a cool lighting effect. As for installing the G100M, it is quite simple with the help of the installation guide, and it also fits all modern sockets, so you don't have to worry about it not fitting your type of CPU. But now something that I was a bit worried about, because this is a low profile cooler, is the memory spacing. Will you be able to install all your memory modules without a problem? Well, it was a bit of a problem for my Corsair Vengeance LED memory, with the cooler taking up the first 2 DIMM slots of the 4. But the Corsair Vengeance memory has quite a tall heatsink. That's why I could only get in 2 of those to install. But if you do have a gaming memory with a smaller heatsink, or just a normal memory without a heatsink, you will have no problem and you will be able to install all 4 memory modules. Now, for the benchmarking, I used IDA64 and tested the G100M against the Hyper 212 Turbo on my 8700K on stock settings with turbo boost enabled to 4.7 GHz and then also an overclock to 5 GHz, which was not really a good idea. I did check temperatures, a fan speed, and also, just out of curiosity, the fan loudness. Also, it was quite a hot day with ambient temperatures ranging around 28 degrees. So with all of that in mind, here are the results. So as you guys can see, the 8700K did reach quite high temperatures of 92 degrees on stock settings with turbo boost, and with the 5 GHz OC applied, it reached 100 degrees and did immediately start thermal throttling. But now, before you jump to conclusions and say the G100M is not really that good, you have to keep in mind that it was a hot day and the 8700K is a 6-core CPU turbo boosting to 4.7 GHz. You would usually use a water cooling unit on a CPU like this, and for a mid-range low profile air cooler that kept the CPU from thermal throttling isn't really too bad. You would more likely use this CPU cooler on a non-K CPU like the i5-8400 or even the i7-8700. It'll still going to have high temperatures, but it is a 65 watt TDP CPU instead of the 8700K, which is a 95 watt TDP CPU. So with all of that in mind, I decided to rather turn off turbo boost and tested it again on 3.7 GHz and 4 GHz to try and get closer to the 8400 and the 8700. Now I know it's not an exact comparison to those CPUs, but I did not have those to really test, and this is unfortunately the best I could do. So for the results, the 3.5 GHz on load, it ran at 73 degrees on just 1400 RPM fan speed, so it can go a bit higher, and on 4 GHz it reached 82 degrees at 2200 RPM fan speed. So with all of that, it just shows me that the G100M will work fine on a 8700 and any non-K CPU. But now if you want to use the G100M rather on a Ryzen CPU, that is a different matter. Currently, I'm running the Hyper 212 Turbo on my Ryzen 1800X, which is overclocked to 3.9 GHz, and it is able to cool that CPU quite well. So for Ryzen 7 or anything lower than that, the G100M will have no problem cooling those CPUs. I wanted to test the G100M on my 1800X, but unfortunately my motherboard really didn't allow me to install the cooler on that board, which is unfortunate because I actually wanted to try that out. But now in the end, the G100M is of course not the best cooler you can buy. It does deliver good cooling, but more likely you're gonna buy the G100M because of the decent cooling, but more because of its looks. Air coolers again are usually something that you're not really gonna look at, and it kind of ruins the aesthetics of your build. But the downwards facing RGB fan looks really impressive, along with the lighting strip along the sides. It makes the G100M more of a showpiece than just a fan really. So if you are looking for a budget air cooler that can just improve on the aesthetics of your build, I would definitely say go for the G100M. It's going to work perfectly on any Ryzen CPU, especially with the new 2000 series coming out soon. You can definitely check out this one for those. And then also again, any non-K Intel CPU. If you're just running, let's say a 7700, it's going to work fine on that. If you're running an i5, it's going to run perfectly on that. And I would definitely recommend this cooler if you just want something that really looks the part. And then again, you don't really have to buy RGB RAM if you have something like this. It's going to have all the needed RGB for your system, and adding some few RGB fans with that, it's just going to look awesome. So that's pretty much it for this review. A big thanks to Cooler Master South Africa for sending over the G100M for this review. And also, if you are looking to get it for yourself, you can follow the links in the video description where you can check it out on RebelTech if you live in South Africa, or Amazon if you live overseas. Now at the moment, again, it's not out yet, but once it is out, I will leave all of the links in the video description for you to actually go buy it. So that's pretty much it. If you guys want me to do any more coolers like this, please let me know in the comments down below. If you liked my benchmark, let me know in the comments, and just, yeah, tell me what you guys think. So that's pretty much it again. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will check all of you next time. Cheers, guys.